Guys, it is Strider coming at you with some more Pokemon content. Today I would like to do my Week 2 prep vid. So here on my left we have the team I have chosen, and then on the right we have my opponent's roster. So you can see here he did make a transaction in the last week. He dropped Mega Tyranitar for Mega Altaria, which actually changed my prep. I had kind of been working on this team already, and I had some different things going. I had, what did I have in here that I didn't have before? Oh, I had Sceptile. I had brought Sceptile for that grass coverage. It was nice to be able to hit a decent amount of his team for super effective damage with him. What did I have on there? I think I had Giga Drain, Leaf Storm, Focus Blast, and I think Hidden Power Fire. So I had some different options, and I think he was Life Orb. He did a lot of damage. He sat at a really good speed against his team because, again, his team is very slow. That's the first thing that jumps out to me when I look at his team, is I see a very slow team and a very bulky team. His fastest mon, of course, is base 100 Flygon. I'm not too worried about bringing him. I don't actually think he will. I have some good stuff for that. Scizor does okay against it. Togekiss essentially blanks it. But again, he might bring it, so I mean, I do kind of plan for that in my prep. He also doesn't have... he also does have a lot of dragon switch-ins, which is unfortunate for my Garchomp. Like, he has 2 steel types and a fairy on his team. Now, will he bring all that? I don't know. They are 3 of his more powerful mons, though, so I kind of do think he will bring all that. And the unfortunate thing about, another thing that just jumps out to me is he has 2 quad fire weaknesses. But he actually has no other fire weaknesses on his team, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has 6 fire resistances, which is just kind of good prep on his part, or good drafting on his part, having that so many things that can switch in for your Scizor and Ferrothorn there. Especially because he picked those up relatively early, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. But then he did do a good job in the rest of his draft, kind of mitigating that weakness. His first pick actually was the Mega Tyranitar, which he did drop. I don't know what his change of heart was, or why he chose to do that. But I think Mega Altaria is a great one. I don't really think it needs much support. There are certain Megas that I think it does matter, kind of what you have around it. Mega Altaria is not that. I think Mega Altaria can fit on any team. It's just it's great typing. It's very flexible. It could be specially offensive, or physically offensive. It could set up. It could be like a cleric. It can do a lot of different things, which is kind of why it's so scary. I don't exactly know how to prep for it, but we'll talk about that here in a second. Another thing that I noticed on his team is he actually only has one thing on his entire team that is a ground immunity. Well, I guess technically Altaria before it Mega Evolves, but so I guess Altaria before it Mega Evolves and Flygon. Other than that, every ground types hit him really hard. In fact, he has no actual resistances to ground. He just has that one immunity. I guess I'll call it an immunity and a half. I'm sure he will want to Mega it, but at the same time, he can switch in if he hasn't Mega'd on a predicted ground type move. So my plan is I kind of really want to hit things with Earthquake a lot. So I did bring both the Mamoswine and the Garchomp. Ice ground coverage is actually pretty good here. Again, because he has 4 ground weaknesses. He has the Aggron, the Volcanion, Magmortar, and Electivire. I don't know if he's going to bring all those or how many he's going to bring, but again, since he has so few immunities, I think it's just a good idea to just kind of spam Earthquake as we go. So let's just jump into the individual mons here. Togekiss, I'm actually still torn between Choice Specs and Life Orb. There's a couple things I'll mention if I'm kind of torn. Choice Specs and Life Orb. Life Orb obviously gives you that greater flexibility, but Choice Specs does actually pick up a couple KOs or guaranteed KOs that the Life Orb doesn't. For example, Choice Specs allows Togekiss to beat Volcanion one-on-one most of the time. With Air Slash, it has a 60% chance of getting that flinch. Plus, Volcanion can't actually one-shot me very reliably, and I should outspeed unless he heavily invests in speed. I should outspeed him. because I'm just naturally faster, and I do have a little bit of speed investment, you'll see, and I'll describe why. But again, yeah, so with that, Air Slash allows us to beat Volcanion more consistently if I have choice specs. Also, Flamethrower is a guaranteed one-hit KO choice specs against any Ferrothorn, whereas actually, if Ferrothorn is fully specially defensive, which I don't think it will be, but if it's fully specially defensive, I actually have an 87% chance to knock it out, 87.5. And there's just a couple other things. It allows me to beat Milotic more reliably. It's a guaranteed 2-hit KO. Grass Knot is, where it's like only like a 9% chance to 2-hit KO if I bring the Life Orb. So there's a couple, but then again, the Life Orb, like, it does allow me to, again, mix it up. Like if I can, I'm thinking about leading with him, because looking at his team, I think he might lead with Ferrothorn to get his rocks up early, because I don't know, it's one of his best reliable stealth rock setters, and I think he just might want to get it up, or and I don't know, I think it'd be a good idea for him. And then the other thing though is, and since I don't actually think he'll expect me to have Flamethrower, I'm guessing he probably thinks I'll be more of a standard Togekiss set, like something like Air Slash, Thunder Wave, and he'll probably expect me to switch, and so he'll stay in, try to stealth rock, and I'll knock it out with Flamethrower. And if I do that and he brings something else in, I mean, I have such a wide variety of moves here. I hit so much of his team for super effective damage. So again, I don't know. I'm still torn on that. We'll see. I'm leaning specs right now. I actually don't have any other choice user, so I kind of like having about exactly one choice user on my team just for that power. You get a lot of power by using a choice item. And we'll talk about the EVs here. So I'm modest. 28 speed allows me to outspeed 0 speed investment. A 0 speed investment Magmortar, which I don't know if he's going to bring that, but again, it's such a small amount of speed investment that it does. Same with, this allows me to outspeed Milotic, assuming it's 0 speed. I don't think it will be fast. I'm assuming it'll be defensive. It could be offensive. I need to be prepared for that. So yeah, that's kind of and if it is offensive, I have the Slowbro to deal with it. So yeah, that's this first set. Again, I'm thinking about leading it because there's so many things this beats. Like if he leads with, all of his rockers get one shot by this. If he leads with a Stealth Rocker, Ferrothorn, Swampert, and Donphan, I'll get, Donphan actually will get one shot, but it probably has Sturdy, so it won't. So what I'll probably do is Air Slash it if he starts that. But again, most of his rockers just get owned by this thing, so I'm thinking about leading it. My other option to lead, if I don't, is Mamoswine, simply because it's a rocker. Just if I look at his team and see, I don't really want to lead with Togekiss for whatever reason, then I will lead. And he also, you'll notice he has the same exact speed investment as the Togekiss, again, simply to outspeed those ones. And he actually has Ice Shard, Earthquake, Icicle Spear, and Stealth Rock with a Focus Sash, so he is kind of designed to be a lead, but I don't know, we'll see. This is important. For the ice coverage is important, again, mainly for his dragon. That's really the only thing I'm scared. And I mean, it also hits Flygon and Donphan pretty well. And then the earthquake, again, I want to spam earth moves and Stealth Rock. I needed to put Stealth Rock on something. I didn't want to put it on Garchomp. You'll see why in a little bit. So I decided to put it on the Donphan. So yeah, those are my two possible leads. I am leaning towards Togekiss, just kind of for the surprise factor, but Mamoswine is definitely a possibility. I did go with Slowbro this time. Slowbro, actually, I've changed a couple of times. I've had it be a Combine set. I've had it be a couple different sets. Right now, I'm kind of leaving it as a defensive set, and I am bringing Toxic. This was actually Thunder Wave for a long time, but again, I decided to go with the Toxic. Simply so I can beat Milotic. I don't actually have that many ways to actually just kill a Milotic, like outright without setup. Togekiss 2-hit KOs it, and Toxic will beat it eventually. So those are kind of my two plans. I could also run Calm Mind here instead, but again, if he's running Toxic and I'm not, then he will probably outpace my Calm Mind with that Toxic. So again, I want that to beat Milotic. This also completely wells Volcanion. Notice if we look at its EVs here, actually I haven't put the last 4 in for whatever reason. We'll go ahead and put them in defense, I guess. Do I want to put them in defense? I don't know. We'll put them in defense. Anyways, you'll notice this is actually a fully specially defensive Slowbro, and that's because really he actually doesn't line up very good against his offensive attackers and lines up pretty well against his special attackers. Like Volcanion, for example, the best it can do, even if it's running like Hidden Power, Electric, or Bug or something, is like I think it's like a 3-hit KO chance to 3-hit KO after Leftovers. So really not a great chance. And then any of the water moves, fire moves, Sludge Bomb does okay. But again, there's not that much that I'm scared of from that Volcanion with this Slowbro. Also, it does a pretty good job walling Magmortar. Of course, it could have the Thunderbolt, but I'm going to do a lot back to it with the Slack Off. And then like its physical attackers, really, Scizor, it doesn't really want to fight because of the possible the likely U-turn or bug move in general. Sorry. And Electivire is another attacker I'm a little worried about physically. And of course, Slowbro does not do super well against that. So that's my special wall, kind of my dedicated special wall. And I do have a dedicated physical wall as well. It's my Arcanine here. I actually, whenever he picked up Mega Altaria, I was like, oh my god, what do I even have that like touches this thing? I was kind of worried. And finally, I came to the realization that Arcanine will probably wall the crap out of this thing. Most of the time, its coverage is like some fairy move and some, and then sometimes it's like a ground move or fire, like it's Earthquake or Fire Blast. Earthquake, even an Earthquake, only does, as long as I get the Intimidate boost, and he hasn't Dragon Dance, does like between 22 and 27, and then even with the Dragon Dance, it does like between 30 and 40, something like that. So again, and then I have the Will-O-Wisp to cripple it, and so this beats most variants of the Mega Altaria. Actually, I'm still debating a little bit. I had an Ironhead here, actually, interestingly enough, and decided, and at best, like even a super offensive one with 0 HP investment of Mega Altaria, it only does between like 39 and 40 something%. And with that Roost, I'd probably be able to kill it with eventually with Will-O-Wisp burning it down plus that. But that's only one variant, and there's so many variants it can go, and different setup options it has that I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to run Roar. That also helps against Scizor if he sets up with Scizor a bunch. Of course, if he sets up with Scizor, I'd probably just go for the Flare Blitz. But again, I mean, if he sets up and has like superpower or something, I need to be able to roar it out. So yeah, I mean, he has just a couple different setup options made me think, okay, maybe I will run I mean, even if he has he could have like Flame Charge, Assault Vest, Magmortar, which actually kind of does some work against my team, and I would need a way to again just get it out of there with Roar. So and then considering the other thing, like I said, I had Ironhead for a little while. I was looking around and like Ironhead literally is resisted by like the rest of his team, or a good chunk, or it just doesn't do much to the rest of his team. Like Volcanion 4 times resists it, Electivire resists it, Milotic resists it, Magmortar resists it, Swampert resists it, Ferrothorn. Like so many things are just like, well, I don't. Ironhead's actually just terrible, other than Mega Altaria, and I'd like this thing to be a little bit more flexible. And plus, with the Will-O-Wisp, I just expect this to be able to just eat up anything that Altaria plans to do. So that's kind of my defensive core there. And then if we move over to more of an offensive set, I am actually kind of running a weird, funky set I never really see on Scizor, but it's like offensive defog. I have the defog in the Roost, but I'm max invested in attack here. And that's simply so my Bullet Punch can do as much damage to his Mega Altaria as it possibly can. And then I have the knockoff as well. This actually doesn't line up super well against this team, like this Scizor, but I really wanted a defog user, especially because I have two people weak to rock, so I really think it's important. And I mean, it lines up okay. It walls Scizor pretty well, and I mean, I can knock it off to get it out of there. I can knock off Ferrothorn to get rid of its leftover recovery that it probably is going to run. There's a lot of things I can knock off that it does pretty well against. And again, the Bullet Punch there, no matter how many times this Mega Altaria sets up with Dragon Dance, at least it could be Cotton Guard, but of course, if it is, we have that Roar to take care of it. I can hopefully take care of it with the Bullet Punch. At least if it's below, it's like it does like 70 to 80%. So really, the Bullet Punch should put in a lot of work. And again, I talked about Arcanine again. The only thing Arcanine doesn't really beat, simply because it can't, like even the burn doesn't matter that much, is if it's like a defensive setup variant of of Mega Altaria, it will eventually just kind of beat my Arcanine, especially if it has like Heal Bell. If it has like Heal Bell, Roost, Dragon Dance, and it's defensive, and it has like Return or something. Well, then in that case, it actually just stone nothing to my Scizor. I can bring it in and bullet punch it to death until it dies. So again, that's the Scizor here. I do want to bring an offensive variant one of these weeks, or like a Swords Dance one. I just haven't felt like it's been in a great position, or I feel like I need defog. I do think it'd be okay here, but then I can't really afford to run Swords Dance set on it because I just really need the defog this week. I could have run like a rapid spinning. What is that guy called? I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Hitmontop, but it doesn't really line up that well either here. It doesn't do a whole lot to this team, so I didn't really want to run that. And then my last mon is kind of my setup mon here. If I can get a Swords Dance up, I 2-hit KO his entire team. So I'm running 240 speed investment, of course, just to barely speed creep that Flygon, so in case it comes in. And I am running the Outrage over the Earthquake again, because I'm almost always going to... The only thing I wouldn't click Earthquake against on his team is Flygon, basically. And so I was like, well, whatever. If Flygon's dead, and, you know, I don't know. It just feels like I'm just going to click Earthquake so much that it doesn't actually matter that I have the Outrage, or the Outrage is like I'm never going to click it, and so if I do click it, if I do click a Dragon move, I want it to be as powerful as it can, and I even have the Lumberry here. That's also for a burn or a paralyze, or I don't know, something weird that I'm not expecting, like if he gets a burn on a Volcanion on a switch or something, and I just want to be able to heal that off. And again, Swords Dance, Earthquake, Outrage, and Fire Fang. Fire Fang, of course, is there to beat the Ferrothorn and the Scizor. Earthquake is there for essentially everything else. And again, like I said, at +2, I do 2-shot essentially his entire team. I 1-shot a lot of his team, and 2-shot some of them. And again, if I bring this thing in late, hopefully there's some things whittled down that I can really take advantage of, and you know, take down. So that's my team this week. You'll notice again, Jolly Nature, pretty standard set there. I thought about running Substitute, but I really want the Fire Fang to hit those other two, especially if they switch in like Ferrothorn, thinking it walls me and I can just kill it. Yeah, I think that's the whole team. I think we went over every mon. I'm playing... Let's see, this actually is gonna... I'm making this before I play, but I probably won't release till after I play, obviously, so my opponent doesn't see anything. But yeah, I should have this up soon by Friday. I'm hoping Thursday or Friday. I hope I have this up. Same with the match. So again, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one.